Good morning everyone. This morning we're actually looking at supporting our clients with personal care requirements. So in part of that we have Jeffrey here who I'd like to introduce.
Good morning.
And thank you Jeffrey for participating in this short clip. So we're actually going to be looking at supporting Jeffrey from undressing and only giving assistance as required. Then we'll actually look at going through a shower process, and again just us supporting Jeffrey and prompting as need be. Okay, so Jeffrey, I'll get you just to, yep, you're right with your buttons to get out.
Yeah, I'm okay with these.
Lovely. It's been a bit chilly this morning.
Yeah, it is a bit,
Yep,
isn't it?
it's good we've got the warm lights on. All right. Lovely. Okay, that's wonderful. Pop those up. Okay, now I'll just support you if you like with your slippers.
Right.
Okay. Here we go. Lovely. Okay. Wonderful. Now if you steady yourself just on the vanity, yep, just to come up, and we'll just take your pyjama pants off.
Okay.
You all right?
Yep.
That's it. Okay. There you go. Just going to step out of those. Lovely. Beautiful. Right. Lovely. So staff, it's important to make sure we check water temperature for the client. So I'm just, how do you like your
A medium, you know.
medium?
Yeah.
Not too hot, not too cold?
No, yeah,
Just right.
that's not bad.
Okay.
That's not bad.
So if we have the temperature too hot or too cold for a client, the client's comfort,
It's just a little bit warmer.
a bit warmer,
Yeah, that's all right.
how's that?
Yeah.
Okay. So ensuring that we allow a client to participate, as I'd mentioned before, as much as possible. There's a face washer, Jeffrey. Continually checking that temperature, asking a client how it is. Okay. Ensuring a client's warmth and comfort as well during the shower process. Okay. So when we talk about enabling, we want a client to actually be able to participate as much as possible. Okay, would you like some wash on there for you?
Thank you.
Okay. Doing that, as you'll see, the client, and Jeffrey here, is able to actually undertake his shower process mostly himself. I'm only actually providing assistance as needs be. Now Jeffrey, did you need any assistance with your legs?
No, I think
Your
I'm
feet,
right
you're
with-
good?
I think we're right. with that.
Okay, what about your back?
Now the back I could do with a bit of.
Okay. So in doing that, our client's actually been able to tell me what he's needing rather than me telling the client. So I'll pop some face wash on there. Beautiful. Okay. So it's always good too just to have a chat to a client. You know, it doesn't have to be about anything in particular, but it's always good to find if you've got a rapport with a client, finding out their likes, dislikes, so we can actually incorporate that into a shower process, because we're looking at the most intimate part of a service in providing care. So how are we enjoying that? You've got a day out this afternoon with family?
No, I'm not going out this afternoon with family, but I'll probably do a bit of shopping.
Bit of
So,
shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'll give you the washer back. So I'm even giving the client tasks to actually do themselves, holding things, supporting that way. Okay, you tell me when you're done there, Jeffrey.
I think I'm pretty right, thank you.
Pretty right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'll just turn that shower off for you. Okay. Right. Safety too is paramount with our clients. I'm not wanting a client to actually stand if they're seated till sufficient water's drained away. I'll give you the towel there. And trying to keep the client as well covered as possible. We've got the heat lamps on, making sure the temperature of the room's quite warm. How are we going?
Good.
Okay, all right, when you're ready to stand, Jeffrey. Right, okay, get your balance. Okay, we'll come out this way. All right, and you like to stand while you're drying?
Yes.
Okay, bit of support with your back?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, lovely. Okay, once the client's ready, then it's always good to be able to follow their lead rather than me telling a client what they need to do. So I'm asking, now would you like to sit at all, Jeffrey, when you're drying?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, we can come over and have a seat.
Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. After the shower process, Jeffrey's been able to attend to most of his drying himself. However, between the toes and the feet can be often missed. As a support worker, it's really good to pay attention to these areas because fungal bacteria can actually grow and form, being quite uncomfortable for a client. Face washer is always a good little tool to have, just to be able to dry between the client's toes. Just check first if a client's not ticklish, because otherwise it could be quite uncomfortable. So again, just drying gently around that area. It's a good time that we can observe skin integrity as well. Continuing on with our personal care, looking at, we've covered undressing, showering, and now dressing. So as far as once our client and Jeffrey's had his shower and we're supporting with the dressing process, part of that is in allowing a client to choose the clothing that they're wanting to wear. Again, rather than me saying this is what you're going to wear, having choice is quite empowering. Prior to coming in, Jeffrey, you chose your striped shirt and your trousers today because you're going to the shops.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as now, deodorant, are you going to?
No.
You're right with your deodorant today?
No.
Okay.
Well,
So you're right. Now, you just need me to support your shirt around the back?
Yeah. Yes,
Very good. So what I'm actually doing is just prompting Jeffrey rather than me continually dressing Jeffrey, because I'm wanting him to be as independent as possible.
Yeah, I can do this. I can.
Wonderful. So when a client actually tells you they can do something, even if it takes that little bit longer, allow them to do it. Buttons can be quite fiddly. If a client has arthritis, that can actually cause a client to perhaps struggle, but we still want them to try. You know what it's like yourself when you're trying to do something and you achieve it, we get quite great satisfaction. If a client needs a bit of assistance and asks, great. If you're finding that they are struggling, perhaps some extra prompting, you may be able to support the shirt or the blouse. So we're still allowing that client to feel as independent as possible. So we've got our trousers here. So rather than Jeffrey up, down multiple times in getting dressed, we want to actually, he's nice and stable on his seat, which he's liking to do so, is I'm supporting by just coming down, allowing Jeffrey, yep, I'll just support those if you like. There we go. I'm just encouraging Jeffrey just to continue the process for himself. How are we going?
Good,
Okay.
good.
There we go. There. Now before you stand up then, Jeffrey, slippers on.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful. Whilst Jeffrey is seated, this is the time for us to pop slippers on. So that way when Jeffrey stands, he's got suitable footwear on to continue his dressing process. So I'm just supporting Jeffrey and just directing slippers on. Yep, making sure that they're well fitted. And if a client chooses to wear socks as well as shoes, if there's any laces, that we're actually putting it for client comfort as opposed to doing something too tight, which could be quite uncomfortable during the day for a client. Okay, Jeffrey, when you're ready to stand. Right, now before you get up, you're right, we're just supporting Jeffrey as he comes up. You tuck your shirt in.
Yeah.
Right. So if we had a client with dementia, we'd be making sure that we're going with short directions rather than long sentences. So with Jeffrey, he's able to manage his zipper, his buttons and clips all himself, which is wonderful. But it is a good idea for a support worker just to check, is the shirt straight? Are we tucked in? Have we missed any belt loops? A client's appearance when they go out, if it was your loved one, you'd want to make sure that, you know, they weren't twisted, skirts weren't tucked up at the back, and belt loops aren't missed. Grooming for a client is very important to make sure that they feel good themselves. And how are we feeling today, Jeffrey?
Good.
Wonderful.
Thank you.